Hello everyone, I am Shutapa Datta. Welcome back to my channel Shutapa's Biology. Hi guys, like my previous video, today also I am suggesting you to see the complete video, watch the complete video for your all important informations. My today's topic is female reproductive system under the human reproduction. Before that, I want to give you just a bit information about the penis. As in my last video, that is in a male reproductive system, I have missed this. So I am giving the idea about the penis. Okay. After that, I am starting the female reproductive system. It's the male copulatory organ. It's the male copulatory organ. It has two types of tissues which are erectile tissues. Erectile tissues are present here, and this is of two types. The erectile tissues are of two types. Number one, corpora cavernosa, and number two is corpus spongiosum. The tip of the penis, which is highly sensitive, is known as glans penis. Glans penis, and that's made up of corpus spongiosum. Okay, and due to presence of the corpus spongiosum, it's a very soft and sensitive tissue, so the glans penis is very sensitive, and it's remain covered by the prepuce. Covered by prepuce, which is the loose folds of skin. Loose folds of skin, and in some cases, if the surgical method by which the prepuce is removed, that's known as circumcision. Circumcision is the removal of prepuce. Inside the penis, there are three blood sinuses. During sexual excitement, it remains filled up with the blood, and that's why the erection takes place. And another thing about the testis, that is orchiopexy. Orchiopexy, it's a clinical term which is the surgical method for descending the testis into the scrotum. In my last video, I have told you that cryptorchidism is a type of problem which takes place if the testis after development can't descend down to the scrotum, and that's known as cryptorchidism. And I have told you that it can be solved by the surgical method at childhood, and that surgical method is known as orchiopexy. So this is the surgical method for bringing the testis in scrotum. But it must be taking place at childhood. Other than that, it will not be successful. So this is about the information about the penis, and now I am starting my today's actual topic, that is female reproductive system. So here about the penis, the main things we have studied here, that is number one is it has two types of tissue, that is corpora cavernosa and corpus spongiosum. The tip of the penis is sensitive and it's made up of corpus spongiosum, and it's then covered by the loose fold of the skin that is known as prepuce, and the removal of the prepuce by surgical method is known as circumcision. And another thing is that there are three blood sinuses which remain filled up during sexual excitement, and that's why it it get erected. And another thing is that it's controlled by the anus. The movement of the penis is controlled by the anus, and the erection is caused by controlled by parasympathetic nervous system. We know anus has two divisions. One is sympathetic and another is parasympathetic nervous system. And ejaculation is controlled by sympathetic nervous system. Okay, so this is the complete information about male reproductive system. Now I am starting my today's topic, that is female reproductive system. Firstly, the female reproductive system is made up of two ovaries. The primary sex organ of female are two ovaries, and these are abdominal organ, unlike the testes. These are abdominal organ and remain covered by the mesotherium. The ligamental tissue is known as mesotherium, which cover the ovary from outside. The ovary is not directly related with the directly not attached with the duct system. That is, duct system will start from fallopian tube or oviduct, but ovary is completely detached from this fallopian tube. And how the ovum get entered inside the fallopian tube and so on, that I shall tell you. Female reproductive system. The main parts of the female reproductive system, that is the two ovaries, number one. Number two, two fallopian tubes. Number three, single uterus. Number four, vagina, single vagina. And number five, the vulva or external genitalia. Vulva or external genitalia. This female reproductive system is quite a long topic, which I might not complete in the one video. So in my next video also I can continue it, as it's a very big chapter, very big part of the syllabus. Now, firstly, I am telling about the ovaries. These are almond-shaped, flat structure. Only 3 centimeter in diameter, very soft organ. 3 centimeter in diameter and almost 15 gram weight. That is 2 ovary of 30 gram in adult female. Okay, so about the ovary. It's a soft almond shape structure. Diameter is 3 centimeter will weight 15 gram in the adult female. Ovary, like the testis, ovary also starts to produce the ovum after puberty, and that the age of 12 to 14. And next I am coming to that, the ovary, actual the structure of the ovary, mainly we shall study in testis. We have studied the LS of the testis, and in ovary it's the TS of the ovary. Now I am giving the diagram of the TS of the ovary. Now I am starting the TS of the ovary. In already I have told you that in testis we have studied the LS of the testis, and the structure of the internal structure of the testis we have studied over there, and here also the internal structure of the ovary we shall study here. I am giving a diagram of that. This is the germinal epithelium, which remain outside of the outside. It's the outermost layer of the ovary. I have told you that it's an abdominal organ, so it should not be protected by any other layer. It's not required. And after that, after this germinal epithelium, it will be continued here. It's quite understood. I think that it will be continued. I am not giving the complete structure as it will take a lot of time. And after that, just below the germinal epithelium, there is another layer which is known as tunica albuginea. It's the tunica albuginea. And below that, there is the stroma or matrix, within which the different blood vessels and cell, etc., they remain present. And other than that, many spindle-shaped cells are present here inside the ovary. But before that, I am telling you that germinal epithelium will produce the ovum in such a way that firstly it will make association of follicular cell. That means cells will come from this germinal epithelium to form a follicle, form a association of follicles. These cells are known as follicles, which are coming from the germinal epithelium, and it's known as egg nest. Egg nest. After that, it will grow to make comparatively larger structure with a cavity inside, and that's known as primordial follicle. And inside this, the ovum is already selected or erected. So this is the ovum. It will not in condition of ovum now, but ultimately it will form the ovum. So the main ovum cell is selected already in primordial follicle, and it has a cavity also. Here the follicular cells are forming the compact mass, and in next one, that is primordial follicle, they will make the cavity inside, as they will spread throughout the periphery after selection of the ovum. Now the next one is secondary follicle. It's gradually enlarged in size, and this is known as secondary follicle. And secondary follicle, from this one secondary follicle, it's the primary oocyte is formed. Primary oocyte, and ultimately in the secondary oocyte stage, the ovum will be released from the ovary. And after this, so after this one, the mature most, that is Graafian follicle, is produced, which is completely matured follicle. It has, I am giving the total diagram of it in this manner. It has theca external theca interna, theca externa, theca interna, membrana granulosa. Actually, with the cell division, all mitotic divisions are taking place and the cells are increasing in number. So now the membrana granulosa is completely crowded with many cells, and this is known as membrana granulosa, and among these some will surround the ovum. And here the cavity is known as antrum, which remain filled up with the liquor folliculi. I am writing later. Inside the membrana, extended part of the membrana granulosa, this one is present, which is in secondary oocyte condition. And in this condition, the ovulation will take place. So, this is a structure like this. I am leveling the parts. This is egg nest. After this one is germinal epithelium. After that, this blue structure is tunica albuginea. Then this is egg nest and this is primordial follicle. And this is secondary follicle. This is primary oocyte. You will study about in details in oogenesis these structures, the primary oocyte, secondary oocyte, etc. And this is the secondary oocyte, and this is Graafian follicle. Firstly, I should tell about this. This is the Graafian follicle. That is most matured follicle. This is ready to release the ovum, and in this way it will release the ovum outside by the process of ovulation. So one thing very remarkable here, that oocyte, the ovum is not discharged from the body. It discharged in the form of the secondary oocyte. And what's the secondary oocyte? Where the meiosis 2 is not performed. After meiosis 1, they are forming the secondary oocyte, and that get discharged from the body. So the other parts, remaining part, that is the formation of the ovum, will take place after the fertilization. This is theca externa. Green one is theca interna. This is membrana granulosa. Membrana granulosa. This is discus proligerus. The tip of it is cumulus oophorus. Cumulus oophorus, and this cavity is known as antrum. This white cavity is known as antrum, which remain filled up with the liquid that is known as liquor folliculi. After ovulation, this structure will be converted to a temporary endocrine gland, that is the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is a yellow colored body due to the presence of lutein. Here I am drawing with green color as I don't have the yellow color. So it's known as corpus luteum. It's the temporary endocrine gland in the ovary and it secretes the hormone progesterone. So this is corpus luteum. A pigment lutein is remain present here, so it looks like the yellow color body, and it can produce the progesterone, which is the birth hormone. Is known as the pregnancy hormone or birth hormone, that is the progesterone. And after actually in each cycle, later I am discussing about this, that from starting from this and up to last, it takes 28 days. That's the menstrual cycle of the female. And during this after ovulation, the corpus luteum is formed. The progesterone will help to maintain the pregnancy, that it will expect for the fertilization, upcoming fertilization. If the fertilization do not take place, then what will happen? It will degenerate. It will degenerate and will not produce the progesterone any further, and it will be transferred into another body, which is a degenerating structure and known as corpus albicans. It's a white color structure. It's known as corpus albicans. So corpus luteum is converted to corpus albicans. And just after the degeneration of the corpus luteum, that is the progesterone formation is stopped and the bleeding will start. That is the menstrual cycle will start. There is no pregnancy, so bleeding will start. And this total cycle takes place within 28 days, generally 28 days. There might be any change in some females, but mostly it's in 28 days. Many spindle shaped cells are present here. Many different things are present inside the stroma or matrix. So it's the stroma. These red colored structures are known as blood vessels. Blood vessel. It's the completion of the 28-day cycle. Now I have to tell about the hormonal condition and the condition of the uterus during this condition, during this cycle. That's from the initial of the cycle, that is this one is resting phase. The formation of the egg nest, that's the resting phase, when after one bleeding cycle, the uterus repairs itself. By repairing, I'm telling later, repairs itself and the ovary start to generate another ovum. After that, here the cavity is formed, that is in primordial follicle, and hormone estrogen will, this is the youth hormone of the female, and this will increase the concentration in urine and blood. In females' urine and blood, it will increase gradually after one bleeding cycle, and then as it gradually increases in size, the concentration of the estrogen will be more in blood and urine of the female, and the female will feel very jolly and active in this period. And after that, when Graafian follicle is produced, then ovulation takes place. During this ovulation, one day just temperature of the female body increases 1 degree or more, and after that ovulation, they start the secretion of the progesterone by corpus luteum, and progesterone is the birth hormone or pregnancy hormone. That's why this time the female, they feel the depressed mood. And after that, this corpus luteum, formation of the corpus luteum, as long as the progesterone remain in the body, that's before the bleeding cycle, the female feel inactive, drowsy, mood swing, etc. Now after that, when it's just when the uterus can get the indication that there will be no fertilization and the ovum is degenerated, then the corpus luteum will break and the bleeding phase will start. That time this degenerated corpus luteum will form the corpus albicans and it will be ultimately mixed up with the stroma cells. Then again another one will start. So this is with the increase in the size, the amount of the estrogen is increasing gradually inside the blood and urine of the female, and after that progesterone secretion starts, and if the fertilization takes place in any case, then corpus luteum will stay for 4 months of the baby for continuous supply of the progesterone. After that the progesterone will be supplied by the placenta. So up to the complete formation of the placenta, the progesterone will be supplied by the corpus luteum. So I have told you that it's a temporary endocrine gland, and after that it will degenerate. But if there is no fertilization, it will immediately degenerate and the uterus will get the signal for starting the bleeding cycle. Now, why the bleeding takes place? Actually, the uterus in each and every cycle, it prepares itself for the fertilization. So, uterus has 3 layers. Later I shall tell you the innermost layer is endometrium, and that endometrium get cushion like or more thick for preparing the implantation. Now, if the implantation there is no fertilization, then naturally there will be no implantation, and if the implantation doesn't take place, then it's known as shedding tear of the uterus. Why shedding tear? It's expected and prepared itself for the implantation, and there is no implantation, so the endometrium will break up. Extra growth of the endometrium will break up, and that will make the bleeding. So in the menstrual bleeding, there is the broken wall of the endometrium, as well as mucus, as well as blood and degenerated ovum. So this is the completion of this. That's all today in this video, and the later part I shall tell you in the next one. So keep following it and you will get all the informations.